Welcome back to Talk of the Town. I'm Karen Allen, and I'm here with Lori Michaels from Lori Stories. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you, Karen.
Well, tell us, what is Lori Stories, and how did it begin?
Well, I'll start with what it is, and I'm going to start a little backwards. I'm going to start with what I do less of, which is custom songs, because I'm really hoping that's going to catch on in Atlanta. I did a lot of those in Boston when I first founded Lori Stories in 1993. But the custom songs I do are completely original works of art. It's not the kind of songs where the song already exists and you just punch in the child's name. What I do is I sit down with the parents and I have them tell me anything about their child that they would want to have in a song. Their favorite activities, their interests, their friends, family members, and I write a completely original song, original melody, guitar accompaniment. I put in all of that information into the verses, and then usually the choruses, since it's usually for birthday parties, the choruses usually focus on the birthday theme. So I record a professionally recorded CD of that and provide the family with that, and usually perform the song at the birthday party where I'm doing a performance. So that's the custom song part. And then the performance part is stories and songs from around the world. That's my most common show that I do, although I vary themes depending on what the need is. I go to birthday parties, schools, libraries, special events, and I do stories and songs for kids, and the kids get very involved. It's highly interactive. I do all ages, but most of the shows I do are for age 2 to 8.
Well, that sounds really fun. Now, so you decided, I mean, did you have a background in music, I guess, or, I mean, how did you decide to take a passion of this and take it to the kids level?
Well, where it started, I have done music and theater all through my life. When I was living in Boston after going to college there, I grew up in Atlanta, but when I moved to Boston, I did a lot of folk music and performed a lot on the folk scene in Boston, but I didn't really want to pursue a recording contract because I wanted to have a lot of creative control and freedom and financial control of what I was doing, and I just love working with kids. I've worked with kids all my life. And so that's how Lori Stories came about. I decided to start something where I could be kind of in control of what I'm doing and where I could be performing for children.
So you really just took the best of both worlds and just kind of collided them.
Yeah, that's how it works out. And it branches out sometimes into music for adults as well and custom songwriting for adults. But the main focus for the Lori Stories part of what I do is the kids.
What's your favorite thing about what you do?
My favorite thing about Lori Stories, it's hard to pick one because one thing I really love is the adults that I get to work with and meet. People who work with kids just tend to be great folks, and I really like meeting parents and families and being part of their lives for a little bit. But the biggest thing is the kids. I just love performing for them. When I perform for the kids, it just takes me completely out of myself. No matter what kind of mood I start the day in, after a Lori Stories show, I feel great.
That's great. Kids do that to you, don't they?
They do, and the show does, you know, just performing. I mean, you know, it's like you get up there and everything else goes aside and you're just in that moment with them. And I love the creativity and spontaneity too, because I do a lot of off-the-cuff stuff with the kids and kind of improvise, so that's a lot of fun too.
That's great. So where do you go with Lori Stories, and what do you do when you get there?
I do birthday parties, a lot of those, and that's maybe half of what I do. And really, lately, even more than half has been a lot of calls from preschools, from libraries that have summer reading programs or performing programs, from any kind of group that wants a performance for children, really. And often special events like Atlanta Parent hosts a show, a block party for kids for charity every year, and so I perform at that. And then what I do when I get there, my first job really is to engage the kids and to get them to relax, which isn't hard to do. Kids are pretty relaxed anyway. But I like to get there and really kind of goof around with them a little bit at the beginning of the show. Sometimes I pretend I don't really know where I am or something like that to get them talking to me. I introduce my guitar, whose name is Beauty.
I like that. I like that. Your guitar's name is Beauty.
Yeah, thank you. My son likes that too. And the kids like that because it kind of brings them out of their shell. Beauty's very shy. She won't sing for the kids until they sing for her first. And then a lot of times also I bring my son Sam with me to shows and introduce him to the kids. So anything to break the ice, and then we're just off and running from there.
Wow, that's great. Now you said you have a son, Sam, and he's 4. He's 4 years old. Now does he love what you do?
He seems to. He comes to a lot of shows with me. I call him my business partner. He's learning how to introduce me now, and he also performs in the shows sometimes. He'll lead the kids in doing Twinkle Twinkle Little Star or something like that. But he's grown up with it. He's been going to shows with me ever since he was 2.
So that's just Mom. Mom just does this, you know?
Yeah.
Oh, Mom, she's good at it. It's no big deal. Well, you know, what do you hope people will take away from a Lori Stories show?
I love that question. One of the things, the main thing is I hope they have a good time, and I hope it brings families together and groups together to just celebrate together and to do a kind of interacting that's a little different than they might be used to, where it's performer and audience. When I do it, it's more that we're all performing together. And,
which kids love. Kids, I mean, you know, you watch a kid watch TV and they're constantly interacting with the TV. They want to be a part of it. So you really provide them with the opportunity to be involved, which is great.
Well, that's it. They can be a part of it. And with the custom songs, they kind of become the star of the show. One of the reasons I do the custom songs is it seems like kids can tell you more about their favorite TV character sometimes than they can about their best friend. And this celebrates the kids and lets them know that they're a part of things too and that they get to be the star. But I have a few other subtle messages that I try not to hit the kids over the head with, but I hope the fact that just by the fact that I'm usually doing stories and songs from around the world, from other countries,
Let's talk about that, because I mean that's really interesting. That's something that I don't necessarily know that I hear much of. How do you incorporate that into a Lori Story show, and how do the kids respond to that?
Well, that's kind of part of the heart of Lori Stories, and it really started, you could almost say Lori Stories started when I was 8, and I wrote a song with a friend of mine called A Rainbow of Children. It always bothered me ever since I was a child if people were, you know, prejudiced based on race or color or anything, and I always feel like I'd like to have a subtle message in there about appreciating difference. And so with Lori Stories, just by telling stories that are from around the world, it helps kids realize that a child who's sitting in Africa or Mexico might hear a story that's very similar to one that they're used to. For instance, I do a story called Tanisha and the Wolf.
I heard that, and it was great. It was
great.
Oh,
you heard it on the demo, yeah. And it's an African folk tale, and when kids hear it, it reminds them a little of Little Red Riding Hood, and yet it's different, and they get to learn some African words. And I just hope that maybe subtly in there's a little bit of that message. And also I hope that subtly in there's a little bit of that message about that we can all be stars, that, you know, that storytelling is something, you know, it's an old tradition, and the way it used to be practiced was that everybody would participate, and that's what I like to have happen for a Lori Story show.
Yeah. So what are the typical responses that you get from a show?
From the kids, they just get into it. They just have a great time. The hour goes by like that. They don't even realize it. They come up after the show and they want to take turns strumming on my guitar. And then if I run into them later, like I've been back to the same school sometimes, or I see kids at the grocery store and they just come running up to me and say, "Will you tell me a story?" And I love that. That's what Sam says to me all the time too, pretty much 24 hours a day. But with parents and educators, the most frequent response I get is, "I can't believe you held their attention for so long." I mean, they're used to kids having trouble with attention span in certain situations, but with a Lori Story show, because the kids aren't having to just sit still and be quiet, they're getting to participate, interact, move around, be spontaneous. They don't even realize that the time is going by. And then for custom songs, the response I get that I love has been people calling me 2 years later saying, "My daughter still sings a song you wrote for her. Could you write one for my other daughter?"
Wow.
You know, we sing it in the car all the time. That it's become part of their family heritage, sort of a keepsake. And that really...
you know, that's a big thing, because how many other people or songs can actually say that they do that? You know what I mean? That's something that was really unique to you, that you can hand to a family and say, you know, this, make it a part of your family. I mean, I think that is amazing. Now, you recently visited the Moms Club of Winder, which they are great. How do moms and the community benefit from Lori Stories?
I'm actually in the process of joining the Moms Club. It seems like a wonderful group, and in fact, on her way out just now, I spoke with Megan, and she was saying that they'd like to have a Lori Story show for the Moms Club, so we're going to be doing that. But I think the way it benefits moms the most is, like, I know as a mom, I've planned 4 birthday parties so far for my son, and you're always wanting the party to be great. You want there to be some special attraction. You want to know that the kids are going to have a good time. You know that they had fun at their other kids' birthday parties, and you want yours to be really special. And I think Lori Stories takes the pressure off the moms that way. All they have to worry about is the cake, the decorations, the ice cream, and they can leave the rest up to me. They know that for that hour, the kids are going to be truly entertained, very involved. They're going to move around and get their sillies out, and they're going to have a great time.
Wow. So is that about an hour? Is that typically what you do? I mean, I'm telling you, I've planned a lot of birthday parties for my children, and the idea of going, what am I going to do for an entire hour with these children? So you take that pressure off and you do it for them.
Yeah, they know that during that time that I'm there, the kids are really going to be entertained and that the party's going to have a nice focus that also relates to them. Even if I don't do custom songs, if a parent doesn't order a custom song at the show, I still always cater the show to the birthday child. I find out what their special interests are. I make sure to include stories about that. I give them a lot of attention during the show. So it really
my daughters would love it. I mean, if it had anything to do with princess, then that would be great, you know, but they do. They love that. Real quickly, what do you think makes a great storyteller?
Oh, now that's a really good question. You know, I think part of it is being a good listener. For me, storytelling and writing go hand in hand. A lot of the stories I do, I make up myself. In fact, I did one for a little girl who loves princesses and butterflies and ladybugs. So Sam and I write them together now, but we wrote a story especially for her party about a princess who has trouble learning to fly. It's a fairy princess, and she learns from the butterfly and the ladybug. And that's the kind of thing, it's kind of picking up on what people are interested in and being a good listener and kind of finding those situations in life that you can pull and put into a story. And also just, I think, loving it, because when you love it, the kids feel that and they get into it when it's just natural.
I agree. How can somebody get in touch with you?
Oh, thanks. The best way is through my website, which is www.loristories.com. And there's a link there where they can email me, and there's also a link where they can view a 10-minute video of what I do. And people can also call me, and my number is 678-425-6229.
Great. Well, thank you, Lori. And your stories are great, and I just, you give moms a great outlet to entertain their kids. So thank you so much for doing that.
Thank you, Karen.
All right, and thank you for watching. Remember, you can, if you want to be a guest, you can log on to our website at WCTV24.com. Let us know you're interested. And remember, every time that you invest in or serve our community, you just might become the talk of the town. We'll see you next time.